Welcome to the deep dive. We sift through the latest research insights, and today we're really unpacking how thoughtful design can shape our outdoor spaces.
That's right. We're looking specifically at the LEED BD+C V5 framework
Yeah.
and how it guides us towards spaces that, well, truly serve the community.
Exactly. Our mission really is to understand how we make these areas not just sustainable, which is important, but also genuinely welcoming, beneficial for absolutely everyone.
It's a great focus.
And if exploring ways to build more inclusive, more vibrant communities through, let's say, smart design sparks your interest, make sure to subscribe. You'll hear more deep dives into this fascinating world.
Definitely. And what's fascinating right from the get-go with this particular LEE credit, SSc2 for accessible outdoor space, is that it's so much more than just, putting some plants in.
Okay.
It's fundamentally about encouraging us all to connect with nature in our daily lives. I mean, think about it. These guidelines push for spaces that support physical activity. Yes.
Like paths or sports areas.
Exactly. Walking paths, maybe some sports courts,
Mm-hmm.
but also those quieter moments, what they call passive recreation.
Just sitting, observing.
Right. And crucially, there's a real emphasis on reflecting, even celebrating, the local culture, the community's identity.
Ah, so it's connecting to place as well.
Absolutely. The underlying goal, really, is making sure these outdoor areas are barrier-free, truly offer a genuine welcome to people of all abilities.
Okay, so designing for well-being on, well, multiple levels then. Physical, social, and that connection to the environment.
Precisely.
Now, when we talk about having enough outdoor space, to make a real difference, what sort of numbers are we actually looking at in these guidelines?
LED gives us some pretty clear targets there. The total outdoor space, it needs to be at least 30% of the entire site area. And that includes the building footprint itself.
30%. Okay, that sounds substantial.
It is. And within that 30%, there's another layer. A minimum of 25% of that outdoor space has to be actively vegetated.
Vegetated. So plants, trees.
Yes. Either by having at least 2 different types of vegetation planted, or by having a good chunk of the area shaded by a vegetated canopy, like trees.
Right. And the reasoning there.
Well, the thinking is to make sure a meaningful part of the site offers those real restorative benefits of green space and, importantly, is designed to be accessible too.
That makes perfect sense. You need both the greenery and the ability for people to actually get to it and enjoy it.
Exactly. Greenery and access hand in hand.
So moving on from the quantity, the guidelines also detail specific urban outdoor space features that projects should think about, including what are some examples? How does this come to life?
This is where it gets really interesting and tangible, I think. Projects need to incorporate at least one of 4 main types of features. First up, there's what we call a biophilic space.
Biophilic, that connection to nature, right?
Exactly. It taps into our innate human need for nature. It actually links directly to another LEED credit about biodiverse habitats, SSc1, and it encourages design elements that really foster direct interaction.
So not just looking at plants from afar.
No, definitely not. Think nature paths winding through the area, thoughtfully placed seating that invites you to pause, maybe observe wildlife, or even things like observation decks giving different perspectives.
I can picture that. Places you actually want to spend time in.
Right. And some studies even show that just having access to these kinds of biophilic spaces can measurably reduce stress, improve focus, real benefits.
Wow. Okay, so that's one option. What are the others?
Another option is a garden. But the guidelines are quite specific here. They point towards community gardens or urban agriculture spaces.
Ah, so growing food.
Yes. These aren't just for looking pretty. They can become these vital hubs for, say, local food security and offer really valuable educational opportunities right there in the community.
You can see that. We've seen some amazing examples where community gardens really transform underused patches of land. They become social centers.
They really do. You see skill sharing, stronger neighborhood bonds,
Yeah,
all sorts of positive ripple effects.
absolutely. Okay, so biophilic spaces, gardens. What's the third type of feature?
That would be a designated recreational area. This one's pretty straightforward. It focuses on providing accessible spaces for physical activity.
So like sports courts.
Yeah, things like well-designed sports courts, maybe safe running or walking tracks, inclusive play areas designed for kids of different abilities, maybe even community pools. The emphasis is creating opportunities for people, all ages, all abilities, to be active outdoors.
Got it. And the final urban feature they highlight.
That's the social area. Think pedestrian-friendly spaces, specifically designed for people to just gather and interact.
Like a plaza or a
And-
courtyard.
Yeah. And a key requirement here is providing enough seating. The benchmark is seating for at least 5% of the project's typical occupants.
5% seating. Why that specific number?
The aim is really to encourage those spontaneous conversations, those casual interactions that, help build a sense of community. Enough seating makes it easy to linger and connect.
It's fascinating how each feature targets a different kind of interaction or benefit. It really makes you consider, which of these might create the most impact in a particular community or context.
It does. Context is key.
Now, beyond these features within the project site itself, the guidelines also talk about community outdoor space enhancements. What's the idea there? Connecting outwards.
Exactly. If we zoom out a bit, these enhancements are all about making sure the project doesn't just sit there in isolation. It needs to actively contribute to the vibrancy of the whole surrounding area.
Okay, so how does a project do that?
There are a few ways, and again, a project needs to incorporate at least one. The first is pretty direct: community access, meaning the outdoor space needs to be open to the public, usually during daylight hours, and importantly, accessible to everyone in the wider community, not just the building occupants or users.
So it truly becomes a shared resource, blurring those lines between private development and public benefit.
Precisely. It becomes an asset for the neighborhood.
What else fosters that connection?
Another really powerful way is through cultural features. The guidelines suggest incorporating at least 2 pieces of art, maybe murals, sculptures created by local artists.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it's great. It adds visual interest, obviously, but it's also a fantastic way to celebrate the unique cultural identity of that specific place, and it directly supports local artists, too.
It's like embedding the community story right into the space itself. Very cool. And the last enhancement option.
That's acoustic design. This one's particularly relevant if the project is located near significant noise sources, think within about 400 meters of a major highway or an airport, maybe loud industrial areas.
Okay, so if it's noisy nearby.
Right. In those cases, the project needs to actively think about and enhance the sound environment, the soundscape.
How? What kind of things?
It could involve incorporating calming water features, which have a nice masking sound, or using specific sound-absorbing materials in the hardscaping or landscaping. Even strategic planting dense hedges or tree lines can act as a natural sound buffer.
Wow. It's pretty comprehensive, isn't it? Even thinking about how the space sounds.
It really is. They're looking at creating a holistically pleasant and welcoming environment.
So for anyone listening who's involved in design or development, or maybe just interested in how these spaces get made, what are some key practical tips for actually designing and bringing these accessible outdoor spaces to life?
Good question. This is where, the rubber meets the road. I'd say a crucial first step, absolutely critical, is getting landscape architects and accessibility consultants involved right from the very beginning. Early stages of design.
Not as an afterthought.
Definitely not. And applying universal design principles throughout is paramount. That ensures the spaces are navigable, safe, and truly welcoming for everyone, regardless of their physical abilities.
That early collaboration just makes sense, avoids costly fixes later on. What about bringing in that cultural aspect we talked about?
Absolutely key. Engaging local artists, but also community members, directly in the planning and design process. That's how you ensure the space genuinely reflects the community's identity and, importantly, fosters a sense of ownership. People feel connected to it.
Right, it becomes their space.
Exactly. And when it comes to the green stuff, the vegetation, prioritizing native plants, and thinking about seasonal interest, that not only supports local ecosystems, makes it more biodiverse, but often creates more resilient, lower-maintenance green zones, too.
Smart. Sustainable in the long run.
And just quickly, for those noisy environments we mentioned, using acoustic modeling tools during the design phase can be incredibly helpful. It lets you test different strategies and really fine-tune the design for a pleasant soundscape.
So it's this blend, then. Professional expertise, genuine community engagement, and thoughtful material and plant selection.
That sums it up pretty well.
Now, stepping back again, looking at the bigger picture,
Wow.
Why does all this matter? Why is this focus on accessible, well-designed outdoor space so important for our communities overall?
Well, if you connect all these different threads we've talked about, accessible outdoor space really sits at this vital intersection. It's where nature, culture, and community well-being all come together.
That's a great way to put it.
By intentionally designing these inclusive areas, we're essentially investing in creating more resilient neighborhoods, healthier neighborhoods, and ultimately just more vibrant places to live.
It fosters that sense of belonging, maybe.
Absolutely. It's about providing spaces where people from all backgrounds, all abilities can connect with each other, connect with nature, thrive, and simply enjoy being outdoors together. It's fundamental.
It really is about reimagining our shared public spaces, or even semi-public spaces, as these active catalysts for connection and well-being. Okay, so to try and recap our deep dive today,
Let's do it.
we've explored how the LEED V5 guidelines offer this really robust framework, not just for green space, but for creating truly accessible outdoor spaces. Spaces that are essential for building strong communities.
hmm We looked at the specifics, the requirements around the amount of space, the percentage of vegetation,
Right, those 30% and 25% figures. And then the different types of engaging urban features projects can include like those biophilic designs, the community gardens, rec areas, social spots.
and crucially, the community enhancements. Things like ensuring public access, integrating local art and culture, and even considering the acoustic environment.
We also touched on those practical design tips, bringing in experts early, using universal design, engaging the community, choosing native plants.
And perhaps the core takeaway, the bigger picture idea, is just recognizing how thoughtfully designed outdoor space acts as this vital public realm. It significantly contributes to the health, the vibrancy, the sense of belonging for everyone in a neighborhood.
It really underscores the profound impact that intentional, human-centered design can have on the fabric of our communities. Now, for you, our listener, here's something to think about. Consider the accessible outdoor spaces in your own life, in your neighborhood. How well do they actually serve the community? Are they truly welcoming? And maybe think about what potential exists, big or small changes to enhance them, to make them even better, more beneficial for everyone.
That's a great question to ponder.
And if you found this deep dive into accessible outdoor space insightful, and you want to explore more about creating better built environments, better communities, be sure to subscribe. You won't want to miss what's next.